waterways were a conduit, obviously, in Florida. So it's been a process after that first year of acknowledging, well, that's not only the way we're connected, it is who we are. And it's so basic to our survival. So we all understand that without water, we're going to die within a few days. So it's such an essence, it's a spiritual entity for all of us, and has so many aspects to our life. And I think why water, why do people take advantage of it was a question that a 10-year-old asked me. I was interviewed by an elementary school student at Pinecrest Elementary. And my answer was, it's because we can. And we don't recognize just, well, I'm not speaking for all of you, but many of us often don't recognize just how easy the access to water is. And I'm always surprised at how many people don't even know where it comes from for us. So the fact that we're bringing the Everglades into our homes every day, that we are connected that deeply with something that's so fundamental to the state and is so endangered by climate change. Water is at the essence of life. And so that is what has propelled this project forward. And I kept it national because there's actually a global water dances that was being formulated at the same time that I was creating mine. We sort of did it in tandem. But I feel that the United States often, as Americans, we look elsewhere to where the problem is. And I wanted to focus it in here. There are many places that don't have access to water. Certainly we all know not clean water. We have enough issues within our own country. So I've really focused it on our national problems.
So I'm curious if anybody else listening has any input on that perspective about water, maybe even, you know, because we live in Miami and water is so central to who and what we are and our surroundings. Michelle, you work a lot with water as well. Oh. There we go.
Generally with water, that's part of the essence of who I am, of my being. So most of my work, all of my work deals with water, primarily from my perspective as a Black female woman, mother, artist, teacher, educator, person living in this world and how we deal. And it was so funny. One of my friends posted a memory from National Water Dance last year before last, when we were at Key Biscayne on Crandon Park. And it was a little girl dancing in the water, but the music and the performance was going on. And I broke down and started crying because I realized how much I really wanted to be inside of that water dancing. And it's really hard to not be in that space because we fuel from so much energy. The energy of the water actually heals our bodies and nurtures us. You know, it gives us, it's a nurturing thing that goes on. So that was a memory. I'm looking off into a distance because I can still see it inside of my mind. And it was really beautiful to experience that and for her to post it because it came up on the 1 year later thing, you know, the 1 year later post. And yeah, if you get a chance to see that, please catch it because it's the innocence of a young kid. She was 5 years old and she's just rolling around in the water. But the performance, you can actually see the performance going on in the water, but she's rolling around with her own thing going on and having her own performance. And her mother videotaped it. It's so beautiful. And so that just reminds me of my childhood, you know, of being in water constantly. Both of my parents were lifeguards and always, always, always in the water. So I was raised inside of that type of environment and it fuels me. I've always wanted to live in that, which is one of the reasons why I chose not to live in New York, because I couldn't get near the water and it was not too clean. So I am here doing this work.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Along with what Michelle's saying, it just reminds me because a lot of the work that we do is with students reaching out into the schools or bringing students into the project. And because water is so basic, it's just so basic. It's really easy, besides just, you know, to forget how fundamental it is and how visceral it is to our being. I was out at the Deering Estate with some students from New World, and we were working on the project, and then it started to rain. Well, of course, as dancers, they all just started dancing in the rain and they're just having a fabulous time. And afterwards, one of the boys in the group said, you know, I really didn't get the idea of this project until it started to rain. And I think that's what it's really about. It's as dancers going to the deeper connection that we feel with the earth and the space around us, and bringing that hopefully to people, not only watching, but hopefully through the work that we do, that we are so deeply connected. We are the earth. And I'll never forget that statement, because it's like, that's all it took, was being able to dance in the rain.
Thank you. We have another question. I want to make sure we leave time at the end for everybody's great questions and comments that are coming up in the chat. So I would like to move on and ask you, Dale, why dance? Movement, as you've spoken about, outside of this, has a potential to heal spirits. I think we all who work in the arts know that, our community, our souls, etc. Can you talk a bit about the collective energy of movement choir and how that fuels the impact of National Water Dance? You mentioned the idea of somatic empathy.
Okay, she's giving me a lot of clues here, so I get everything in, just so you know. So to the first, why dance? Because I'm a dancer. Okay, second, I mean, we do what we do, you know, we work with what we have. So that's who I am. And I know Michelle will agree with this, that dance is really, even if you're a soloist, there's a collective energy that comes with it. You know, there's, we feed off of each other, we work off each other's energies, we feel the energy in the space around us, we don't work in a vacuum. So that connection to ourselves, to the environment, to what's around us and to one another is so fundamental as a dancer. So the collective spirit, the movement choir, one thing I loved about it was the equality of it. We have professional dancers, we have kindergarten students, we have people that are just interested in moving. And when you see all of that energy come together, that's really the essence of the art, I think. And bringing that, teaching Michelle's phrase to people on the screen has made me even more aware of what I want to give them, and their response and what they have to say, that those movements mean for them is enlightening to me. And so that exchange is constantly happening. Dance is a form that we depend on video now, but it's really passed down person to person. You can find the steps and many things off of video. There's LALA notation, but it's ultimately that personal exchange between dancers where the real art form happens. And being able to collectively connect through the internet, it's like, okay, this is 21st century movement choir, and that was very exciting to me. So we do have a quick story that happened. I was working with someone who'd done the movement, the National Water Dance with me twice. She was on our advisory board. We didn't have Zoom calls, so I'd never seen her, but we exchanged emails and phone calls. And I was at a conference and I went into this movement class. It was an improvisation class. And I walked in and I just saw this woman, and her energy was something I wanted to connect with. And so I just moved myself over in her area, and we spent most of the class dancing together. And at the end, she said, you know, when you walked in, I just felt something like I wanted to dance with you. And we introduced ourselves. And this was Jane Hawley, that we had been working together for 4 years. Never seen each other, but we felt the energy that we had, that you exchange through calls, through emails, through Zoom. It happens. We move beyond the technology. So I'm very fascinated by how to make technology human, how to really find the three-dimensionality in this two-dimensional screen. And I think that's about it.
That's really a big question. Obviously, it's a big question that all of us are dealing with now, working in the arts and transposing that kind of information into the two-dimensionality that you mentioned. And then there's the whole soul and spirit and emotional life. And so in thinking about how we're all living, not just the digital aspect of it, but the aspect that we're physically hunched over computers and intensely taking care of our kids while balancing our computers and our phones, and which don't look like that anymore, and our, you know, and you know, our kids, and I said that already, and making sure everybody's fed. And I just realized today not to eat at my desk. It's been a month, and I just realized today to get up and go to the kitchen table for lunch, because at work I eat at my desk, and it just, that's the way I need to separate. It just occurred to me. So can you talk more about, maybe touch on your blog post a little bit, and how you talk about personal movement expression and how that relates to how we're living, and anyone who wants to check out Dale's blog, it's on our website, which is mdclivearts.org. There's a link that I think Eddy is about to put in the chat. And so that can we'll do that at some point. So we want to talk about that and also get everybody involved in that, because that's how we're all living. So
yeah, no, I'm gonna start, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Michelle too on this. So one of the words, the phrases I work with, which I like very much, is somatic empathy, and how we feel from our body, how we connect with other people through our body, how we learn through our body and take in experiences that intellectually we may not be able to deal with, or maybe we're not even understanding we're taking it in, but our bodies do. And now in this sort of isolation and that sense of touch, many of us are with people, which is wonderful because we have someone to touch. But I think the general amount of engagement, that's changed for all of us. And it's really important to touch your body. It's really important to know that you're here. And I think we just don't do enough of that, you know, that this is just a care that I often say to my students, this is your best friend, you know, this is the entity that you're constantly with, constantly working with. The way you treat your best friend, can you say you do the same for your body? So within that frame of how we exist physically within our bodies, it's that place of I'm here too, you know, it's like, oh my God. So, you know, just those little things, it just says, I know you're there, move it and open it up. But in this space, we can move into each other's spaces. And I think it's a lot about intention. It's really a lot about intention. I think imagination is about intention. So if I have the intention that I want to try to touch you, it's just a hand on a flat screen. But in fact, if I'm really feeling that, and you're really feeling that, we can connect. And maybe everybody just do that once. Not just a flat palm, but actually a palm that wants to receive. And see if you can, it's like a little bit of a mitt, the softness in the center of your palm that receives the energy from, and that you're receiving mine and I'm receiving yours, and you can almost feel the heat. Does anybody feel that? So
I think I did.
that's really cool, Dale. And it makes me think about how, like, even in person, when you're reaching out to touch somebody, on some level, you're like, there's an anticipation of the feeling before it happens, or as it's happening. It's like you expect to feel what they feel like or what you think they feel like. And then if they don't, then it's kind of a shock. And I think that's maybe why.
Yeah. Michelle, do you want to elaborate on that from your perspective?
Don't forget.
The most interesting part about that for me is being able to see a person's palm and you can read their palm because your life exists in the center of your hand. So that's always
spread us all.
That's always very interesting for me. In 2003, I was with Catherine Dunham here in Miami. She did a lecture at Florida International University. And she did this exercise of the energy that exists in the palm of the hand and rubbing the palms together and then holding that energy and having everyone open at the same time. So everybody did that collectively. It was a movement choir. This was the gesture. And so the opening happened, and you could feel the energy throughout the room. And that information has remained with me forever. It was one of the most powerful moments I would say, of my professional dancing life, because there had to be every bit of 300 people in that room. And for everybody to rub, and you had that sound, and everybody to open and feel that energy and all of the collective energy that existed inside of the space and in the room, it was really powerful. So I really value and appreciate collective energy when we all come together to make things happen, regardless of where we are. I posted inside of the chat that Dr. Thomas DeFrance wrote this article called Dance in 2035. And he presented it at a conference at Duke University in 2014. It was the closing conversation at the conference, and what would it look like in 2035. But here we are in 2020, and we're doing exactly what he presented. And so he presented this dance class, and he predicted that we would be in our living rooms teaching dance. And here I am in my living room and teaching the dance, doing the thing up in here. And I reached out to him last week and just had a quick conversation about what that meant at that moment in time in 2014. And here we are in 2020 doing this work, and how it touches lives, and how we're able to see one another and try to feel one another. You know, that's another thing as well. How do we feel each other's energy? Because sometimes I feel all alone inside of the space when I'm in front of the camera moving. And then sometimes I've noticed recently that I have pictures of my family around in the house. And so then I feel their energy around in the room as well while I'm dancing. So I pretend that I'm dancing for them, and it makes life much better. Yeah. And my dog joins me.
That's
so,
nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. It has challenges. I can definitely say for myself, as a person who's a dancer and a mover, that I've had to, and I'm a full person, so I dance very full, my whole body. So I've had to learn how to move without fear inside of a space that has other things in it. Because when you're in a studio, everything is open. But when you're in your house, you have your expensive lamp, right? You have your nice chair, you have your vase, and you don't want to knock anything over. So I've had to learn how to not move the stuff out the way, because I still live here, but maybe I need to get my leg a little higher so it can go over the lamp. You know? What does that mean, and how does that inform space? And I've danced in every single room of my house. So I've engaged and activated every space of my house, the hallways, all the bathrooms, the kitchen, the garage, the backyard, the side. You know, everything now has a piece of energy that the residue of my energy inside of it. And if you believe in the spirit and energy of your body and how it remains, where it remains in those spaces once you do the work. So I've taken time to actually, and I'm performing on Saturday, to actually perform this thing that I'm creating inside of every room in my house, to leave the residue of the energy inside of that, so that when I leave this space, whatever that may be, I don't know, but a part of me will be in the space that will remain. You'll always feel that energy inside of it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Michelle. Dale, what personal movement or simple movement exercises can you recommend to stimulate our bodies? And what other tips do you have for digitally exhausted bodies in the session? Because that's a thing.
So we do a little, is this a little movement moment?
Yes, could be.
To go to the phrase, is that where we're going?
Yes.
Well, I have the answer for that though, if you don't.
No, I'm gonna get everybody up so we can move a little bit. I think the biggest thing in terms of there's so many different ways to move, and there's so many classes you can take now and things that you can do that your body needs. But I think particularly in this stationary place is about mobility and just feeling that and the breadth and width of yourself. So if everybody would just stand up for a minute. Okay, great. Okay, so let's just start by just shaking your shoulders out a little bit, just loosening that. Yeah, loosening that part up. It just gets so, it gets so tight. Oh, let it go. And then just soften your knees so you have a little pulse while you're doing that. So it's kind of shaking through your whole body, just nice and soft. You don't have to go very far, just to sort of shake it up. And then just push down into your feet and push out of the earth. And everything that we do is connected to the earth. That's our anchor. So just an easy little drop again, and just a little push into the earth. So you feel that coming right up through your center. A nice little drop, and feel your feet pushing and connecting. And let's just take a roll, a simple roll, forward and back, forward, up, back, and down. Just easy, don't push it. It's just lubricating your joint. Just bring it around. Soft and easy. And then we'll just go back the other way. So you're gonna go back and up and down and back, up and down. Keep it soft. Don't push. So it's just easy and soft. And then just bring your hands in and let your elbows go around. So we go forward first, up and back and around. And forward, up and back and around. But what's really important in mobilizing is you're not trying to push your muscles, reverse it. You're just opening up. It's all about finding space in the joints and bringing it back and up and around and back and up and around. And then just let your hands go easy, bring them forward. So up and around, just nice and easy, whatever your range is. And let your knees kind of bend with you. And we just go back the other way, up and around and up and around, up and around, up and around. And just step out to a little wider position so it's nice and wide and broad, and just feel where your hips are. Put your hands right on your hips. So you just feel them right underneath you. And keep your hand on whatever hip. I don't care what direction you go. It's so weird this way. And then just stretch the opposite way. So you're pushing against one and taking a nice, easy little, just feel that opposite leg there. Reach for the floor, and then hand on your hip and reach the other way. So as you reach with whatever hand you're reaching with, you're pushing down on that same leg. And let's take it again and reach the other way. Long, and bring it back. This is very nice. And go. Everybody, it looks so good. If you're watching, it's so much fun to see this movement in here, all these squares, and bring it back. And now let's just put your hands on your belly, turn your feet parallel, bring them in a little bit, and just push in so you can round. And then open out and just lift your chest up. And push it again on your belly so you just round, feel your head and tail coming forward, soften in a big C, and then open up and open your chest up. And take it again. So into a big curve, and then open and stretch those arms out as wide as you can. And then into a big curve and open out wide. And then just shake your legs out. Just really feel like you just throw your leg out. Just kind of fun, like a kid, just throw it out, loosen up that joint, just show it, yeah. And a little run underneath you, right from the hip, just easy, soft, shake it out, shake it out. Okay, so now I just want you to reach to the side and feel that width, and reach to the side and feel that. And then reach up to the corner of your frame, right to the corner of your frame, as far as you can. Let your back foot come off the floor and come back. And then reach up to the other corner and come back. Now you're gonna reach down to the corner of your frame. You'll disappear, maybe, and come up. And then reach down to the other corner and come up. Let's do that again, just a little faster. So you're gonna reach to the side and reach the side. And reach up and reach up. And reach down and reach down. That's beautiful. I hope you're watching, because it's just like a mosaic. It's like, what do you call those? I forgot you turn and you see the mosaic change. kaleidoscope, not a kaleidoscope. Yeah, kaleidoscope. Okay, so take this arm, whatever arm that is for you, and reach across so you feel the spiral in your body. And then take the other arm and reach across. And now take the first arm and reach up, and the other arm and reach up, and then other arm, reach down. So you're reaching across your body now, and reach across on the other side. Okay, we're gonna do this one more time, but we're gonna start with the opposite arm. So we're reaching always across our body. So reaching across, and reach across, and reach up, and reach up, and reach down, and reach down. Okay, so a little game before we go to the phrase. I want you to decide if you're going to work with your right hand first or your left hand first. You don't have to tell me, just decide. You're going to start with the right or with the left. And then you're going to decide after you go side to side, are you going to reach up first or are you going to reach down first? So just those two decisions you have to make. Do you start on the right or the left? Do you go up or down after you've gone side to side? Is that clear? Okay, let's try it. Okay, so one more time. So you're gonna choose whether you start on your right hand, with your right hand across, or your left hand, whichever one. It's always gonna be the same pattern, across, across. You can start on either side. And then are you gonna reach up first to go both sides, or are you going to reach down before you go up? So the pattern is side, side, either down, down, up, up, or up, up, down, down. So let's just do that twice through and see what happens. So get ready and begin. All right, okay. Last time we're gonna do it, but this time when you do it, whatever one you choose, I want you to kind of glance in the frame of look at your computer. And as you reach across, think that you're touching someone, that the person next to you on the frame and the screen is reaching toward you. So each time you go, feel like you're touching someone, that you're actually seeing them up above you or you're seeing them down below you, okay? Now, this time, if you want, you can go any direction, anytime. Okay, you can keep the same pattern or you can just mix up the direction, but have your intention to be touching somebody in this group. All right, here we go. And. There's probably two more, wherever you are, couple more, and then you can finish. Okay, so I'm just curious before Michelle takes over. Did anybody have any sensation or did you see anything in the screen that surprised you or was fun or any thoughts? Can you unmute? I mean, you can unmute if you have something to say. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was touching Jenny. And then I went down and I was playing with the top of Eddie's head.
I was wondering what that was.
It was really fun. And at the very end, I decided that I was going to go to Jenny and Dell, and I was crossed like this.
And the interesting thing, just in terms of working choreographically, is that what Michelle is seeing is not what I'm seeing or what Eddie's seeing. So even when you're trying to find connections, it's total chance, which is pretty fascinating. But I'm going to explain to you what Michelle is going to do, and not what she's doing, but where it's coming from. With National Water Dance, we ask all the participants to create a phrase of movement, a very short phrase that's inspired by the location they're going to be dancing in. And they send them to me, and then I edit it and put together a very long phrase from all the submissions that come. And in that process, I find one phrase that just seems to be the right one to begin the whole thing, and one phrase that will end it. So with National Water Dance, we all begin with the same phrase at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The ending is the same phrase for everyone, but that's up to the choreographers, whether it's a 5-minute dance or an hour event. So this year, Michelle's gesture was the one that just seemed like the perfect opening, and even more so now, I think, because of the conditions we're in, and she is going to teach that to you.
Okay, so my gesture is an honoring towards water, Mother Water. And so we're going to, I'll go through it. It starts low on the floor. So I don't know if you can get low, but you don't actually have to be low. If you want to do it from sitting in the chair, you can, because it's a lot of hand gesture. That's my dog back there. She doesn't bite. Okay.
Certainly not through Zoom, she doesn't.
Excuse me?
Certainly not through Zoom, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't even bark through Zoom. So everything is on the right side. So it's very important that you're working your right side, right knee, right side, right hand. So it goes down to the right. So the hand touches the water on the right. It touches your chest. It touches your forehead. You wash the top of your head. You go to the back of your neck. You go to your shoulders and you give. Yes? So it's touching the water, touch, the chest, the forehead, wash your head, which is a dip. So you need to dip your head, dip, go to the back of your neck, go to your shoulders, and you give. It's very simple, yes. So you're touching, boom. So that's a camera angle thing, right? So I've actually been playing with what that's like to go into the camera, if the water were on the surface of the camera. So touching to the chest, to the forehead, to the back of the head, the shoulders, and the give. And that's the gesture. When I do that in water, it looks like this. And we repeat that 3 times. Cool?
Cool.
Want to try 3 times?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it 3 times.
Okay.
You want a standing, Michelle?
If you want to stand, you can. If you prefer to do it in your chair, that's up to you.
I do want to just put a little 10-minute time check out there.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. Take a deep breath. Inhale. And down. And into the chest, to the forehead. Wash the head. Go to the back of the neck, the shoulders, and you're giving. Again, the touch, to the chest, the forehead, to the back of the neck, the shoulders, and the give. The touch, the chest, washing the head, the back of the neck, the shoulders, and the ears. Well, at that moment, there's a washing. Yes, a wash, a wash, a wash. When you're doing the washing, think about a washing machine that goes like this so that your whole body moves, so that you bring the back of your body around. Yes, Eddie, that's it. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Dale, do you have more to add, or shall we go to some of the, we have time for maybe 2 of the questions that are in the chat?
I'd love to hear the questions.
Actually, there's one, okay. Eddie, do you want to point to some, or or should I do it?
Go for it if you.
Okay. So James Eccles asked 2 questions, and the first questions he asked, hi James, was in the realm of making dance digital, has anyone looked at the potential of using digital interactive avatars to produce a more immersive experience? Interesting question if you're going to think about the word immersive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, what I am doing with National Water Dances is Digital 101. I mean, there's some really sophisticated work going on out there and has been going on for a long time. I mean, Merce Cunningham was doing amazing things in the 90s. So I'm not really up on all that is available. I've done some work with I2, which has been very interesting. Nothing with the technological aspects of an avatar. But have you ever done anything with that, Michelle?
I have not done anything with that, but there is an artist and a company called Slippage that's out of Duke University, and it's run by the artistic director, and the owner of the company is Dr. Thomas DeFrance. We call him Uncle Tommy, and he's doing an incredible amount of work with technology and dance. So speaking of avatar work, what is this movie? Avatar. It's a movie that was actually digital avatar work of dancers, and that was choreographed by Lula Washington. She has a company in California, the Lula Washington Dance Company. And so that was actual animation of physical bodies moving around inside of a studio space that they digitized and created an avatar into the actual film, the actual movie. So it's been going on for quite a while, I think. And Carol, are you familiar with Carol Walker? The visual artist that does she had the huge sugar sculpture going on, and she does this shadow. So
Karen Walker, isn't it?
Sorry?
Anyway, I'm sorry, go on.
She actually, you know, she lives here in Miami from time to time, and she actually does a lot of work with Thomas DeFrance and taking the digital bodies. They'll be in North Carolina at Duke University doing one thing on a stream, but it's somehow showing wherever her art show is. So the physical art shadow work that she's creating is coming to life out of the work, and it starts to move. So it's the physicality of the body that starts to move. So the artwork begins to move. It comes to life. You can look him up. It's called Slippage. I think I posted it over there on the.
You did. Thank you, Michelle. I'm sorry, my watch was just talking to me for no reason. So there's another statement that I think could be an interesting question for this particular group, which is from Praveen, and he says it would be interesting to figure out the best camera angles to teach dance via webcam. Sometimes it's hard to find the right angle to show what's happening. So I think that's a really interesting topic for a minute for Dale and Michelle to talk about, because they are teachers of dance, to talk about a relationship to the camera. We've spoken a little about relationship to digital. Dale, it was really extraordinary to take us through the process of really living in our frames and connecting to other people in relationship to our frames. But what about cameras? Like what's that about?
Well, just to add to that, like Zoom has built-in 2 cameras, right? So you can put 2 webcams on your one feed. So it'd be interesting to figure out how to teach dance with the 2 cameras, or if it's 1 camera is the best.
So are you saying that in a situation like this, you could have the dancers being seen from different angles and choreographing something?
Well, I mean, just like in your box, right? You could have 1 camera facing front and 1 camera on your profile, so we can see how far back you're going. You know,
right. Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that. But would that be possible with multiple people on the same screen? Each person that could happen, or just the host?
No, each person can have 2 cameras on their feed.
I've done that. I did it actually last week, where I did 1 from my phone and 1 from my computer, so that I got 2 different angles. And
yeah, I've seen that. We've worked with that a bit. Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see how what was captured, and I was trying to get something recorded so that I could play with it to maybe do some kind of, just fill my time like I need something else to do.
But is that more of a post-production element, or if we're talking about teaching, we're talking about it being in the moment and being live?
You can do it live. I actually did it live on Zoom. I logged on to Zoom with my phone and with my computer.
Well, when you have either like a phone and computer, or if you have 2 computers, then choreographically it's very interesting, because you can leave one frame and go into the other, or catch. I've done it with 2 different sources where you can see it from different angles, but I didn't know that in one frame you could have 2 cameras. That's very interesting. So to look into that.
So I want to say that is really interesting, and I feel like it's definitely worthy of another Venture Cafe session with dancers like Michelle and Dale and other dancers from our community. Be like super interesting conversation between technology and arts. And so maybe Eileen, we should do that at some point, especially as it relates to the environment and how we're rethinking our own relationship to the environment at this moment in our time. However, we do have to end at 7, and I do want to point you to other things that are happening in the Venture Cafe. If you go back to, I guess, how you got here, you'll see other programs happening. And hopefully we can all gather here again sometime. And we are again grateful to all of you for being here, all of your great comments and questions. Dale actually had more questions that we wanted to get to.
Well, before we leave, I want to just tell them how they can see National Water Dance on Saturday before you leave, not to interrupt.
No, go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah. So on Saturday at 4 o'clock, if you want to see the groups via Zoom through Facebook, you can go to nationalwaterdance.org, and we'll have a page up with multiple groups. Michelle's group is performing, mine, and dancers from around the country. On Instagram at National Water _dance. You can be directed from there to see who is live streaming their solos all over. And we are going to be collecting these, are going to be recorded, so they will be posted, and in an archival way, you'll be able to glance through at your own time to see all of the different dancers across the country after the fact.
Exciting. I posted a couple links in the chat as well if you want more information on National Water Dance. And also, of course, stay tuned to MDC Live Arts for our programs next week with Earth Week coming up. We got a lot of cool things here at Venture Cafe and in other portals on the web. So just wanted to squeeze that in if I could.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. And thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Online.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Jenny. That was very fun.
Great work.
Yeah, it was lovely. I'm so glad Michelle was there. It was a great round table.
For sure. We'll
Bye.
talk soon.
Okay.
Eddie, should I go?
Okay. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for everything, Eddie. Thank you for
No,
picking up
thank you. Great job.
at the end. Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.